Welcome back. In this session, I'm going to give you a quick overview of stored procedures. If you are familiar with the concept of stored procedures, either from SQL Server or any of that already DBMS, please feel free to skip this video. Otherwise, stay with me. I'll give you a brief introduction. So let's start by defining what a stored procedure is. Basically a group of T-SQL statements stored in a database under a named object, which is called stored procedure. When you execute this stored procedure, the T-SQL statements will be executed in the order they are written within stored procedure. Stored procedures accept input parameters and also they can return outputs apart from executing standard T-SQL statements as stored procedure can also execute other stored procedures. Let's look at an example. This is a simple store procedure which takes one input parameter called borough. It executes the T-SQL statement to get all the on it for that borough similar to the select statement here. You can have as many T-SQL statements as you like in this procedure. You can also define things like variables. Set the values for them and also have other constructs, for example, while loop. You can then execute that stored procedure by using exec execute command. For this, we need to provide the name of this total procedure to be executed, followed by the parameter values as shown here. Now let's take a look at some of the benefits of using stored procedures. The set of code you are writing repeatedly to achieve any database operations is a typical date for encapsulation in a stored procedure. You can simply wrap all of that in a stored procedure and call that stored procedure repeatedly. That brings us to the next point, which is that stored procedures provide ease of maintenance for any maintenance spec. You just have to update the stored procedure and all the consumers will be using the new functionality from then onwards. Also, as they stored procedures are deployed to the database, it's easier to perform any kind of impact analysis on the changes to the database tables. Stored procedures simplify the security layers. Users and applications could be provided access to the underlying objects such as tables via the stored procedures without having access to the tables themselves. This helps provide restricted access to the users. For example, you can limit the access to PII data for certain users. Let's now go through some of the limitations on Synapse code procedure as well with the SQL Server ones. As you would expect, the T-SQL inside the stored procedure would have to be supported by Synapse. So please ensure that the technical you are using is supported in Synapse Serverless SQL Pool. You can see the link here for the supported T-SQL statements. Also, Synapse provides a limited implementation on some of the features of a standard stored procedure you will see in SQL Server, and Microsoft's working on introducing these features into Synapse. So for the moment, please see the link here for the limitations of Synapse stored procedures. I hope that's given you an introduction to stored procedures.